Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how to build this 4-post 3-tiered keyboard stand. Now, let's go over the parts, what we have. So I have 4 30-inch straight bars. I've got 2 over here, 2 over here. I have 4 36-inch straight bars, 1 over here, 1 over here, 2 up here. I have 2 43.5-inch straight bars, 1 over here, 1 over here, and then I have a 40-inch curved bar, which I have in the front right up here. I have it separated out like this in sides because I want to be able to construct each side and know exactly what parts that I have on each side to build that component, and obviously the ones in the middle are the connector bars in the front. For the clamps, what I'm using is a total of 6 right angle clamps, which is the SCGCRA. 3 over here on this side, I need 3 on this side, and I have 3 over here on this side. And I also need 8 of the chrome T clamps, which is the SCGCRQT. I have 4 on this side and 4 on this side. Then I also used a number of memory locks. Sorry, I don't know that number right off the top of my head, but you see it in the parts list. And then also for the mounting platforms to actually hold the keyboard, we have 2 pairs of the SCGEMC, the electronic mounting clamps, and then I have 3 sets of rubber feet. One set is going to go for one long T-leg on the bottom on one side, one set is going to go for the other long T-leg on the other side, and then one set is going to go for the bottom keyboard support on the end of the bar. Well, we need 2 of those on each bar for the bottom keyboard, so I need to use the some other rubber mounting platforms, which is right here, which is basically the rubber rack foot, but it has the end cut out so that it'll slide over the entire length of a tube at any point in time. So then you've got 4 points of contact that the bottom keyboard is resting on. So let's get into it. The first thing I'm going to do is build the T-legs, the long T-legs. I'm going to use the 30-inch bars for that. So I have my 30-inch bar right here. I already have the memory lock set just to save time for the build. It just saves a little bit of time, not a whole lot. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take two multi-clamps because I've got 2 posts coming up on each side. One thing that I forgot to mention that you will absolutely have to have is a drum key. Any drum key will work. This is required for the T clamps. Another thing that will help you don't have to have, since everything, all the bars are flush to the top, is a level. It will kind of help you get it level, but most of the clamps sit right on top of the bar. So unless the ground is level, unless your ground is unlevel, your rack will always be level. So we need 2 rubber feet right over here. So what I like to do is I like to slide on your memory locks, and then I like to set up the T-clamps first. Now, I already have memory locks on there set, so they're both the T-clamps are already facing vertical, perfectly parallel to each other. When you're doing this without putting the memory locks on first, they're going to be a little bit off kilter. They're going to be a little bit out of parallel, I should say, or off level. So just leave them a little bit loose, and then once you start attaching the vertical bars, they will even themselves out. Attaching the horizontal bars, they will start evening themselves out. So next, what I'm going to do is put on the rubber feet, and I leave it sit flat on the floor, and I just slide it right over the end. Okay, so I have my first T-leg constructed. Now, what I like to do when I'm doing memory locks is make sure the memory lock is on the same side of all the clamps. So you know that if you ever have to take a clamp off, you don't have to worry about what side of the clamp, what side of the memory lock you put that clamp on. You just look at another clamp that you have and just mimic that. So both of these are on this side, on the left side of the clamp, my left. So I know that I'm going to put the T-clamp on the right side of the memory lock. So now let's go over and do our other T-leg. So now I've got my two T-leg assemblies constructed. Next thing I'm going to do is add the top tier, which is the supports for the very top tier. So to do that, I need my 43-inch bar. So I'm going to slide it down into the front clamp and lock it into place because I've got my memory locks all on. What you need to do when you're putting your memory locks on is make sure you count the amount of clamps that are on that particular bar and slide that number of memory locks down all the way to the bottom, so that you don't have to keep pulling the bar off and disassembling things when you realize you need another memory lock. So I've got that positioned. I'm going to grab my other 43.5-inch straight bar, and I'm going to place it in the front T-clamp. So now I'm going to take another T-clamp and I'm going to put it right over the top end of the bar. So now this is how you make sure that you know that it's level, because you can't push this clamp down any further. As long as it's pushed down as far as it can go, it's always going to be level because all the parts on all the bars are the exact same length. If it's not level, then you've got a problem with your stage or your floor. Add another T-clamp to the left front post. Okay, so now I'm going to take my 36-inch bar and I'm going to connect the front two posts with it. Lock this one in place. And then once again, I knew that I was only going to have two clamps up here, so I already slid two memory locks over the edge. So then now you're just locking in your positioning of the bar, so when you add the clamps, the mounting clamps on here for the keyboards, the rails, you have exactly the angle of the tilt for the keyboard stays memorized because you've got the rotation, the positioning of this bar memory locked already. Okay, so now that I have the front two posts created and I've got the top crossbar connecting the two posts together, now what we're going to do is we're going to add the bottom curved support bar to keep the stand from swaying like this if you put a really heavy keyboard on it. So for that, I need to use just a regular right angle clamp. So here I've got a curved bar. When I measure the level of this, if it's sitting like this, if I measure the level, it's going to show that it's level right here, but it's not level at any point else on the bar because you're looking at a frown here. You have to make it to where it's as if it were laying on a flat surface like that, so that it's level in all 3 points. I call it 3-point leveling. Once here, and then once here. So to do that, since we already know that our legs right here are level, what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach it to this bar, this front bar right here. So I put my level up, and then I just loosen it and turn it until the bar gets level. And now I know it's as if it was laying on an imaginary plane. Okay, so now I'm going to attach the bar. So now I completely have my front post 1 and 2 connected with the top crossbar and the bottom curved support bar. So now I'm going to turn this so that you guys can see what I'm doing, because now it's time to add post 3 and 4. So I'm going to take a 36-inch bar and I'm going to put it in the remaining T-clamp that's on here. Once again, I know that there's 3 clamps that are going to be on this bar, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 3 memory locks down there, and then add the top crossbar. The next thing I would do is take the memory lock that slid down here, slide all the way up, lock this one in place, and lock this one in place. So now we have this memory locked, and then you memory lock this so you have the positioning of this bar so it doesn't twist if you take it apart. You have everything in the same spot so it goes back together easy. And you lock this one in place. The only thing that's left is we have this one that should be floating up and down still. So now what I'm going to do is connect the last 36-inch bar to the top, to post 3 and 4. And then we will have finished the top 2 tiers. Okay, so I'm just gonna check this to make sure it's level. Yeah, and it's pretty level. So now I'm just gonna tighten up these bottom T-clamps because I know that my top bar is level. So these verticals are level. So now we have the 3rd tier and 2nd tier already created. Now it's time to build the bottom tier. And what I need to do that is 2 right angle clamps and my 30-inch bar is coming right off the 2 posts. And I like to leave this clamp a little bit loose. You swing it out, slide this clamp over to close to the post, allows me to position it on. So now I have one side of my bottom tier support added. All I need to do is add the next one, and then we're pretty much done with the frame. We just have to add the keyboard mounting supports. Okay, so now the frame of the keyboard stand's done. All I need to add are the keyboard supporting arms. I'm going to start with the lower tier. I'm going to get the rubber mounting platforms and set them on the bottom support so that the keyboard has something cushiony to rest on and it won't slip. And these go right over the end of the bar. The rubber rack foot with the slit cut out and there's no end, so that it fits right over the back part of this support and the middle section of the bar. Bottom tier's done. We have our support platforms down. Now let's just add the keyboard mounts onto the 2nd and 3rd tiers. Completely assembled. We've got our 3rd tier, 2nd tier, and 1st tier. Now the top 2 tiers are fixed height. So if the height isn't comfortable for you, maybe it's too tall, maybe it's too short. Taller, you would need to get a longer bar and then cut it down to the size, or if shorter, you need to cut it down to the size that you need. And the way I would suggest doing it is put it completely together, just like you see I have it. Put your keyboard on top of it. Measure exactly where it is, where the playing height is, and then measure to the height that you want your comfortable playing height to be. Just take that difference and cut that amount off the bar. So the lower tier, however, is height adjustable to some degree. You can't bring these clamps up any higher because these clamps are stopping it, but you can lower it a little bit. I can raise it probably about a good 3 inches. Now, as you can see, we have the keyboard rails, and this is where the memory locks come into play on the crossbars, because if you want to leave these keyboard rail mounts on, you can just disconnect the rack from here if you want, and then the torque of the bar will always be the same when you put it back.